9 years ago, I did a one-man show for the Philly Fringe Festival in Philadelphia, and I realized it was 9 years ago, and that's a long time. Um, but I was with my wife at the time. We weren't married at the time, but it feels like yesterday in a lot of ways. But I was living in Philadelphia, and I decided that I was sick and tired of waiting for other people to cast me, and so I decided to do a one-man show. And I adapted a piece by H.P. Lovecraft. And then I found another horror nerd, this one by the name of Josh Hitchens, who to this day, he also does one man shows, much better than the one that I did. He does a one man Dracula. He does a one man show about Jeffrey Dahmer, which has rave reviews. Um, and he's currently doing a podcast called Going Dark Theater. You should check it out. It's him telling creepy stories. And if you like creepy stories, you're gonna like Josh Hitchens telling you creepy stories. But anyway, we teamed up, and he did his one man Dracula as one act of the show, the longer act. And then I did my adaptation, and I did my adaptation of the short story by H.P. Lovecraft called "The Statement of Randolph Carter." If you've never heard of it, it's a story of this insert for H.P. Lovecraft himself, Randolph Carter, who's a young occult student, and he goes on a mission with another man who's an expert in the occult named Harley Warren. Now, Harley Warren has discovered this book that he doesn't let Randolph see, and they go out into the swamps and they find an old graveyard and they find a portal to the underworld, the upside down, if you're watching Stranger Things, to a place where demons come. Um, and he's down there and he has a portable telephone that it's connected to Randolph, and he's relaying information, and then he disappears and he screams, and then a voice that is not Warren's voice tells Randolph Carter that he's dead. Um, the setting of the story is actually afterwards. Randolph Carter has been found by police just wandering in the swamp out of his mind, and then this is his statement that he gives to them after the fact. This is what happened. I swear it. So it's the adaptation into a one man show is actually really easy. I just did a little bit of cutting, but a lot of it is just the straight short story of a desperate man who's been through a horrible situation relaying it to his audience, and his audience in this case is the audience for me. But when I did that, I wanted it to connect back to the greater H.P. Lovecraft sort of oeuvre. That's probably not the right word, but the greater H.P. Lovecraft sort of stories, and that's Cthulhu, and that's dark gods and old ones, and I'm like, it's hinted at, but I wanted a stronger connection, and I also wanted there to be a connection in it that was a little bit more pop culture-y, that people who didn't necessarily know who H.P. Lovecraft was, or only knew the name, or only knew the concepts, would be able to sort of be pulled in. And so I found this other smaller piece by H.P. Lovecraft, and I put it as sort of the intro to the short play, The Statement of Randolph Carter. And so I found it, and I thought I'd read it for you and see if you can catch the little pop culture reference, or the reference that is now in our own pop culture. The book. Original title Al-Azif. Azif being the word used by Arabs to designate that nocturnal sound made by insects, supposed to be the howling of demons. Composed by Abdul al-Azred, a mad poet of Yemen, who is said to have flourished during the period around 700 AD. He visited the ruins of Babylon and the subterranean secrets of Memphis, and spent 10 years alone in the great southern desert of Arabia, the empty space of the ancients, which is held to be inhabited by protective evil spirits and monsters of death. In his last years, Al-Hazred dwelt in Damascus, where Al-Azif was written, and of his final death or disappearance in 738 AD, many terrible and conflicting things are told. He is said by his 12th century biographer to have been seized by an invisible monster in broad daylight and devoured horribly before a large number of fright-frozen witnesses. Of his madness, many things are told. He claimed to have seen fabulous Orem, or City of Pillars, and to have found beneath the ruins of a certain nameless desert town the shocking annals and secrets of a race older than mankind. He was said to be an indifferent Muslim, worshipping unknown entities whom he called Yog-Sothoth and Cthulhu. In 950 AD, the Azif, which had gained a considerable, though surreptitious, circulation amongst the philosophers of the age, was secretly translated into Greek by Theodorus Philetus of Constantinople under the title Necronomicon. For a century, it impelled certain experimenters to terrible attempts. Reading leads to terrible consequences. Anyway, I always liked sort of starting things off that. The book is only mentioned in passing in the actual text of the statement of Randolph Carter, and it's never implied, it's never stated outright that the book is in fact the Necronomicon. But I liked starting the play that way. Anyway, maybe one day I'll do it again. I'm not sure. Maybe one day when I'm able to do theater again, and the kids are at school, and I can actually put some effort into that, and we're not in a pandemic. I can do that, but we'll see. Anyway, let me know if you'd like me to read more from the Statement of Randolph Carter, or any of H.P. Lovecraft stuff, or any other creepy stuff, because I'm all for it. It's weird, it's creepy, it's kind of fun. It is 7:22 West Coast time on April 2nd. This is the Morse Code. I am Chris Morse, and I will see you tomorrow.